Good morning, welcome to today's RC Coffee Chat. Now in today's episode I've got a little list actually. The first one is, did you get to flying this weekend? If so, details please. Let me know in the comments section underneath this video. And if you weren't flying, were you in build mode? And what were you building? Do let me know in the comments section underneath this episode. We did have a bonus episode yesterday. Normally I don't publish a coffee chat on a Sunday, but yesterday was special, so we got an extra one out, and there was 4 videos in that one. And I published one last night as well. That was me with a Wiesel XP on the way on the slope. I had so much fun. It was brilliant, except for going down that hill. That camera angle didn't really give you like the full perspective of how steep that hill really was. What else we got? Any tips for approaching farmers for a flying site? So that's actually a question to you rather than the other way around. Now I won't go into the precise details, but I'll come to that in a minute anyway. We've got a couple of mail videos coming out. There's a few raw episodes, so that's raw flight footage coming out this week. We have 2 mail episodes which are on the way out. One's over there on that computer rendering right now. And also part 2 of the Vector series will be out this week, probably part 3 as well. What I'm going to do we'll get into that in a moment. So let's go back to topic number 1. Did you go flying this weekend? If so, I want details. Were there any crashes? Were there any smashes? What models did you fly? Let me know in the comments section underneath this video. And like I said, if you didn't get to go flying this weekend, were you building something? What were you building? I'm curious because I've got a collection of builds going on here at the moment, like my little chuck glider conversion, which is, well, I haven't done anything with it yet, really. No, I did that and then realised the batteries were way too big. So, yeah, challenges as always with the chuck glider as it falls over down there. Now, we did have a bonus episode yesterday. If you didn't see yesterday's edition, then just nip back. There are 4 videos in the video description. Okay, the first one actually has been published, which was one Man His Wiesel. That was me mucking around on the slope. I really do like that Wiesel. And then yesterday, I did manage to go out and get some flying time in up on the slope. Now, Andrew was right, the wind angle wasn't right, it was on a skew, which made it a bit of a challenge. But on the flip side, because it was only really just me up there until Richard came up later on in the afternoon, is that I did manage to dial her in, and I've got more movement in the elevons now, and I think I'm up to about 50 expo. And the reason why I'm up to about 50 expo on that model is because I want full stick movement to make it spin, and it's very axial. I think that's the correct term, axial on its rolls now. But then I also need gentle movements in the middle. Now I'm not that graceful on the sticks, to be frankly honest. So yeah, I found myself on that model up to 50 expo just to get the feel right for me. And I am a kind of a full stick kind of guy. I want it to roll like a crazed possessed hamster when I've got it right over on the left or the right hand side of the sticks, and the elevator is really twitchy, so that's been dialed right down and it's got about 30 expo in it. So yeah, it was actually it was good fun. The wind was up and down and on a skew, but I did get lots of flying in. I did get quite a few unscheduled landings in as well. And a bit of a surprise, one of the lads from one of the Facebook groups came up and joined me as well. He had a little mini breeze. Wow, that thing did really well. It was probably about 20-25 mile an hour wind up there. And yeah, it worked and it flew absolutely brilliantly. So I was really surprised that even when it went right over the back of the slope, we still got it back. So well done, Richard. You did really well yesterday. Next up is that we have, any tips for approaching farmers for a new flying site? So this is actually a question from me to you. What did you say, or what have you found to work when approaching a farmer to use their land as a potential flying site? Now, I won't go into the exact details, but my original flying site, currently I won't fly any more than there because I've got concerns around safety now, and I haven't been and flown there for over a month now. So I am looking for alternative flying sites. I will going to have a chat with, I know the farmer's name just down the road. It's just a father and son, and they're mates of my next door neighbour. So I don't see that being a biggie. And I do have a playing field not that far from me as well to sneak out and have a quick fly in. But no, this is more of like a more of a serious location which we can use just to potter around in and muck around with some slightly louder models. So yeah, any tips which you've got, which you've found which work when approaching a farmer to use their land. By the way, I'm not opposed to paying for it. I'm not going there cap in hand, I like to use your land and not pay for it. Yeah, any tips would be thoroughly appreciated. Next on today's topic, we have a couple of Mel videos. We've got Mel 34 coming out today. Mel 35 is over there being rendered at the moment. Mel 35 got the RunCam Owl as well. Brilliant camera. By the way, it doesn't work in complete darkness, so don't get that excited. There is another camera which I've got up on one of my tabs on the screen over there, which will work in complete darkness. But yeah, really good, vivid quality, picture quality on the RunCam Owl. So yeah, I'm in like two minds at the moment. Do I go and put the Swift on the Phantom, or do I put the RunCam Owl on it? Tough decision. They're both really good cameras. What else we got on here? We've got, like I said, I've got a few raw episodes on the way out. The episode where I found the horse. We've got a bonsai misty morning flight, and there's another one as well. There's also the slope Carnage, which I mentioned in yesterday's episode of the RC Coffee Chat. And the last topic, which I've got on my notes on my screen, is part 2 of the Vector series will be out. Probably part 3 as well. So give you an early insight. Part 2 will be downloading the software, reading the manual, finding out about the stabilization modes, finding out about how to calibrate certain things, and just getting used to the documentation, because the Vector is one of those devices which you really do need to read the manual. Okay, and it is a bit of a long manual. I think it's about 88 pages. I'll just check because I've got it on my other screen. Actually, technically, it's 118 pages long, but you don't have to read them all, and we're only focusing upon models, flying models, so the fixed wing and flying wing. So with that in mind, we can skip, and you could skip a load of quadcopter stuff, which is completely irrelevant to you. So yeah, I think it's about 88 pages, which it works out to be. So with that said, let's get across to the screen and see what we've got up. So there's the videos which I mentioned. The item which I've got on my shopping cart at the moment is some side flush snips, which I don't have. I've got lots of other little tools, but I'm missing one of those, so I'm going to get that bought today. Link to that will be in the video description for you. Checking up on the Parrot Disco FPV Flying Wing. Doesn't appear that there's been any sales on it yet, but remember, they've taken it out of their pre-order section, so we'll leave it there as the probably not is the honest answer to the Parrot Disco. I did see this one turn up this morning, which is a RunCam Night Eagle, which I haven't watched that video thoroughly yet, but look at the quality on that. I know, again, I'm thinking with the RunCam Owl, is that when I first got it, so when you see tomorrow's Mel video, is they got it out there and it was really early in the morning. It was absolutely pitch black. And when there was light, say from a window or from the door, you could see what you were doing. So maybe if you're flying in a car park, for example, then, then it would be fantastic. A car park at night with lighting would be crazy with the RunCam Owl Plus, and it would also be in color as well. There's no doubt upon that. But then when taking it out onto the drive and across into the woods, yeah, complete pitch darkness, to the point I was stumbling around. So yeah, it doesn't work in complete darkness. That RunCam Night Eagle could be the answer to that. That would be very curious to see how it actually does. So by the way, I don't intend to buy one at £66. Okay, to be frankly honest, it's 66 quid. Okay, I thought I was pushing my limits for the RunCam Owl at about 40 quid. I don't think I'll be spending nigh on 70 quid on just an FPV camera, even if it is military grade. Not going to happen. Now, with that said, there are two products which caught my attention, and again, I'll put links to all these things in the video description for you. They're both pretty much the same in what they do. So we've got a Diatone Switchable between 0, which I presume is off, 25, 200, and 600 milliwatt, and then another one which is almost off on it, 25 and 200. And the curious thing is, which one can you see this better on? I think this one here would be a better one. So yeah, notice the form factor for this, which is that looks distinctly like a 35mm plate. So that means that in your quadcopter, so let me grab the one which I've still yet to repair next to me. So if I grab that one there, for example, so you'll see on mine right now, we've got the power distribution board down at the bottom, and then we've got our flight controller on top, is that instead of having your video transmitter as a separate unit out the back or on the top or wherever you go and fit it, with that board, you can mount it on the top of your flight controller board or underneath, and then run your antenna to wherever you need it. Yeah, very, very curious idea. I saw, what was this, Joshua Bardwell on his build series of the Furious quadcopter, which he's been making. I'll put a link to that in the top right hand corner for you. Very, very fascinating series. Yeah, but they do tend to be a tad more expensive at like 25 quid and £33. So yeah, if space is an issue, that would be pretty cool, and put it in your flight controller stack. That would be really cool. And then plus you probably get more flexibility over your antenna placement as well. But then we are comparing these back to £10 video transmitters, which are pretty small to be fair, and can be just cable tied pretty much anywhere on your frame. So yeah, that's the only curious thing which I've seen come out recently on Banggood, and that's been for the last couple of days. So I do keep an eye out to see what's coming in, to see what's interests me personally. I do think they're a really good idea. If I was heavily into quadcopters, then yeah, I'd probably consider something like this, especially if it had the ability to remote switch the channel. That would be pretty cool, instead of having to get in there and faff around with switches. That would be pretty cool. Oh, and I also did notice on both of these boards, they do come with a microphone built in, so yeah, on both devices there, we can see there's a microphone. We can't, oh look, they've got the thumb switch there for changing, I presume that switch there is for changing the channels. And because they've got the same thing on that one there as well, so it would be a case of just getting your thumb in and hitting the button to, I presume, change channels on it. So with that said, from myself, Matt, thank you ever so much for joining me for a cuppa this morning. This week, as far as flying goes, don't know. Yeah, it's going to be a curious one. I think I might be slope soaring this afternoon. Don't know yet. I need to see how work goes this morning. Again, I won't go into the stuff which I do. It's kind of boring. But with that said, I am going to wrap up now. Like I said, did you go flying this weekend? If so, I want details in the video description. Let me know what you were flying, what fun you had. And I sincerely hope you didn't have any unscheduled landings like I did with the BFG. And I've knocked the motor mount out and the receiver tray as well. So I've got to fix that today because I'd like to get that one flying. Oh, and I definitely do need to put the 2 extra servos in for the flaps, because that model, considering it's quite a slow model, and it's not like ridiculously slow in the air, it's quite a slow moving model. It's nothing like an Excalibur, for example. It does shift, but it really does come in really hot when you come into land. I mean, like really hot. And it's where we were flying on Saturday. You got to be on your A game for the landings, and unfortunately I thought it was on my A game, but the landing said other things, and we got the nose tucked in a little bit too much, and it just dug in, and that's why I knocked the motor mount off, and the receiver tray moved. So yeah, good fun. So anyway, with that said, for myself, Matt, thank you ever so much for tuning in this morning. Any questions about anything which you've seen, and any tips which you've got for approaching farmers would be thoroughly appreciated. And on that note, from myself, Matt, I shall see you tomorrow. Cheerios!